All right, hi, Miss Barron. Thank you so much for coming in today to go over Jess's progress in class. She's such a pleasure. She's such a good hard worker. Um, so we're just going to talk about her um, development in the class so far. So a few weeks ago, I don't know if you remember, we took the Scholastic Test of Achievement. This test measures what the students have learned from our curriculum so far. It's not an intelligence test. It doesn't have any impact on her grades. It's just a quick snapshot of how she's doing so far this year. And I'm just going to go over all these scores with you today. Please stop me at any time if you have any questions about anything.
Okay, thank you.
Here is all of Jess's results from the assessment. You might first notice that there are two sections. There's this top section here, which is what they call the norm referenced information, and this information is Jess's scores compared to other students who also took the same test, and they're called the norm group. This norm group of students are the same age, they're the same grade, and they also took the test under the same circumstances. So, and this is also a national test, so this norm group includes students from all over the country, and I believe it's around 10,000 students that actually makes up the norm group. The bottom part of the report is the criterion referenced information, and this just tells us Jess's own individual performance and specific sets of sub-skills. So that's broken down a little bit differently, and we'll go over that. Do you have any questions so far?
I think I understand.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start with the criterion reference information, and this tells us what we need to know only about Jess's mastery of a specific set of skills. The norm reference information box tells us how she scored in comparison again. So yeah, we'll go over this. There's a lot of numbers, I know. Okay, so the norm referenced, these are the subtests here that are broken down, or content areas is another way to say it. Looking at this first column here, is there anything that you want any clarification on? You need to explain?
Let me see. I've never heard of the battery or the complete battery.
Okay, yeah, those are easily confusing. Battery is just another word for test, and the basic battery is the student's overall score on the basic content areas. So math, reading, writing. The only areas it doesn't include are social studies and science. The complete battery is what actually includes the social studies and science. So her overall score on the entire test. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So let's take a look here at this first column. These are the number of items that were tested on in each category. So, for example, in vocabulary, there were 36 questions. And then in math, there was 35, and so on. The next column are her raw scores. And this tells us how many she got correct in each particular section. So if we look back at vocabulary, there were 36 items and she got 26 correct. And again in math, there were 35 and she got 24 correct. In the next column here, these are the national percentiles here. So we're going to look at vocabulary again. She got 49 on her vocabulary, and she placed in the 49th percentile in the vocabulary section.
She only got 49%. Isn't that failing?
Oh, no, don't worry. So these aren't percentages. These are percentiles. So this actually tells us how well she scored against the norm group that we discussed earlier. So if we take a look here, I brought also this. This is the bell curve, and this displays the distribution of all the student scores in the norm group. So right here in the middle, these two sections, this is where most students place, and this is normal, where we want to see our students place. So if we look back at the 49 percentile, which is right here, she's right here in the middle, and that's exactly where we want her to be. She's doing great, so no need to worry.
Oh, okay, I see the difference between the two now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, moving along in Jess's report, the next area on it are the scaled scores. These scores are created by converting all her scores in the different content areas into one standard unit of measurement. So it's similar to like when you were in school using a ruler. It's hard to compare centimeters and inches, so we convert them all to one single unit of measurement, and that's what this area of the report is telling us. All the scores you see here are out of 800 points. You'll see in the vocabulary again, she got a 498, and in math, 505, and we can look back at the bell curve here and see right here, down here, those scores correlate with the STA scores. So again, she's falling within the normal range, which is perfect. It's what we want to see.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Yeah. All right, so the next area here is more or less just a visual representation of the scores that Jess got in each of the areas. This line down the middle here signifies the 50th percentile, and then these bands here show where Jess scored in the percentile.
Why are they bars and not dots?
Oh, that's a great question. The reason test makers do this is because every test there are errors. There's no such thing as a perfect test. So researchers, figure this in and find out what the standard error of measurement is, and they build that into the results, which are these bands here. Some things that could contribute to this area are maybe some poorly written questions. Maybe she was tired. Maybe she was getting, tired of taking the test. She wasn't feeling good. All sorts of things can happen. And it actually shows right up here on the report that the standard error of measurement on this particular score is plus or minus 4 points. So that means if Jess took this test on another day, some slightly different, circumstances, she would have scored either 4 points above or below the score she currently has. Just put this here. So let's look at spelling right here. So she scored in the 68th percentile. If we apply that 4-point difference, she could land anywhere between the 64th and the 72nd percentile.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so that takes care of the norm reference section. Before we move on to the next area, do you have any questions about what we talked about so far?
No, I think I have a pretty good understanding of it.
Okay, good. All right, so this next session is the criteria and reference information. Here we just see how well Jess has mastered each skill. The norm group is no longer being utilized. Also, you can see this part of the report is broken down into more specific test categories. This is so we can get a better understanding of what areas she's really doing well in and which areas she may still need to work on. Before we discuss these scores, are there any of these subtests that you would like me to explain?
Let me take a look. What's inferential comprehension?
Okay, so inferential comprehension is a skill that we practice during reading, and this is the student's ability to read between the lines per se, or in other words, like how well they can decode what's being conveyed by the author without directly reading about it.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Are there any others?
No, I think I'm good. That was the only one that just stood out. I didn't really understand.
Okay, good. So in this section, we have 3 main columns here. We have the raw score, the number possible, and then this low, medium, high section is the range. The raw score is what Jess scored, and the number possible, well, let's do it this way. Her raw score, let's see, in vocabulary was 26. And the number possible in that section was 36. So Jess scored 26 out of 36 points possible in specifically reading vocabulary. Okay. And then as we move over here, we see that this puts her in the medium range. Again, this isn't comparing her to the norm group before. These ranges are actually predetermined by experts and basically what they feel a third grader would be, a score for low, medium, and high. Let's see. If we look at Jess's language subtest scores, which is going to be right down here, her raw scores for punctuation, usage, and sentence structure, she all got 10s out of 11s. Question correct. This puts Jess in the high range, and which I feel is a totally correct representation of what she's doing in the classroom as well. During class writing assignments, Jess exhibits great sentence structure by correctly using transitional words such as next and after. Does she ever have you help her with her homework on the writing?
Occasionally, I help her when she has trouble and ask for some help.
Okay, great. That's awesome that you're helping her with that. Continue to encourage her to write. At home, you can ask her to create short stories and all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, so now let's look over here at the raw scores that reflect Jess having scored. There's a few here that are in the low range. So in her economics, she got 4 out of 6. Possible correct. I don't totally agree with this assessment of her abilities in this section. We've been going over budgeting in class, and Jess has demonstrated, really that she understands it pretty well of the material being taught. And then the geography as well, same thing. She got 4 out of 6, but I don't feel this is accurate. Her knowledge on the subject is really well. I even brought her portfolio here, and as you can see, we had some, assignments in geography, and she got all of them pretty much right, and you could see her understanding of the content. So, she must have just had a bad day on those specific areas. So, yeah.
Why do you think she didn't score higher here?
It could be a number of things. She could have read the question wrong. She might have accidentally bubbled the wrong answer. Just silly mistakes like that. I don't feel that the score is indicative of her knowledge on the subject material, but it wouldn't hurt for Jess. It wouldn't hurt Jess if we go back and revisit some of the material that we've covered. And I've actually been doing this with the whole class later this week, because a lot of them, the same thing happened. They kind of scored low when I felt they should have scored higher. So, do you and Jess often play games together at home?
Or? We have family game nights.
Oh, so fun. Yeah. Oh, so this is a great way that you could build Jess's knowledge in geography, or really any content areas, is to play more educational games with her at home. Pinterest is a great resource for games, or Amazon has a great selection, and they always have good sales and stuff. Mm-hmm. So you just want to search geography educational games. For example, one I really like, USA Geo Bingo. That's a lot of fun. Kids always love bingo. Mm-hmm. And then I also recently came across this website that would help Jess practice her numeration. This mathlearningcenter.org, because I did notice that her numeration scores were a little low as well.
Can you explain what is numeration?
Sure. Numeration is the method of expressing numbers and words. Mm-hmm. There is an area where she scored 11 out of 17 possible questions. This put her in the low range again, like I said. This website would be a great way that Jess could build on this and honestly all her math skills. So soon after the test, I put together a small group of students who need to build their numeration skills. Jess was one of the students that I've been working with, and I've already seen improvement already with her. Good. Yeah, it would also, of course, always be more beneficial for her to practice at home what she's learning in the classroom. And then also one area that I'm really proud of Jess is here, and that's in this science area. Her raw scores put her in, the medium to high range, and she's been showing a lot of enthusiasm during our science lesson. So I was going to mention to you that she might be interested in joining, the UIL or the STEM club in school.
I've heard about this club. My best friend's daughter is in it, and and she's explained to me, so I'll look into it, because they've talked to me about it. I know what it is.
Yeah, I think she'd really enjoy it. Do you have any other questions regarding any of these scores or the test or anything?
No, you went over this really well. I understand it really well.
Okay. So I have this handout for you, and it's a copy of her scores and the bell curve, excuse me. If you have any more questions about it, please don't hesitate to call me. I can go over any of the areas if you need, more clarification. Also, if you have any trouble finding games for her, give me a call, give me a text, email, whatever you prefer. Please reach out to me, and I can send you home with a list of some good resources.
Okay, thank you. I'll see what I can find and let you know either way what I come across.
Okay. So, again, thank you for taking the time to come in today and discuss her scores. She's truly a pleasure, and I enjoy having her in my class.
Thanks. Same to you.
Thanks.